guys, and welcome back to Cricket Crown. My name is Destiny. I am a life coach, an aspiring psychologist, and an evangelist for the Lord. On this channel, we talk all things personal development, purpose, identity, self-love. So if that sounds like something you're interested in, go ahead and subscribe because I will have more videos coming your way every Tuesday. So let's get into today's topic. Today, we're talking about how to heal after a toxic relationship. Let's get into it. All right, sis, let's talk, because a lot of us are entering out of toxic relationships, and we are in this phase now where we are left to pick up the pieces, put ourselves back together, heal ourselves, and move on, right? And you're probably wondering, sis, where do I start? Like, how do I begin to build myself back up? Because this relationship took so much out of me. It was so toxic. It was so draining. I was always mentally tormented. I was always emotionally tormented. This relationship took almost all of me. And I don't know who I am because I gave so much to myself, to this person, that now that the relationship is over, I don't know where to go. I don't know where to start building myself up again. But I just know that I have to. I'm going to help you with that, sis, because I can also relate to this. I have been in and out of toxic relationships since I was 17 years old. Because of my lack of self-worth, because of my lack of self-love, it led me into the arms of toxic men who didn't know how to love, who didn't know how to care for me. So I found myself in relationships with men I should have never been in. And all they did was break me even more. All they did was add to the trauma even more, right? So I'm going to share with you all some things that I did to help build myself up as a woman after leaving a toxic relationship, right? And the first thing that I did was I cut off all contact. I went cold turkey. And I don't know about y'all, but I was really good at saying I was done, but not showing that with my actions. You know what I mean? Like, you done until they text. You done until they call. And then you find yourself forgiving them, running back to them. But whenever you are healing, you have to separate yourself from the person who broke you. Because the person who broke you is not going to be the same person to heal you. And you have to learn how to take your healing out of other people's hands and make it your responsibility. So the first step to your healing is to cut all communication with the person who broke you, with the person who hurt you, with that toxic individual. You have to cut it off. I know how hard it is. I know you still want to leave that door open just in case they change, or they might change their mind to come back, right? But it's so important that we stop leaving ourselves on the table to be an option for people to play with us. It's time for you to make you a priority, and it's time for you to make decisions and to stick with them. It's time for you to be a woman of your word. So if somebody else can't value you and love you the way that you need to be loved, it's time for you to show them how you're supposed to be treated, and that's by you exit them out of your life and not allowing access to you. Since they didn't know how to love you, I want you to show them how to love you by not allowing them back in your life and by you loving on yourself. Let them see you glow up from a distance. They don't need to be in close proximity with you. So sis, that means block them. Stop answering the phone calls. Block them on social media. You don't need to be stalking them. Who cares how they're doing? It doesn't matter. Right now, this season is about you. It's about getting your mind together. It's about getting your heart together. It's about pouring into you. It's about taking all that love that you gave to someone else and give it back to yourself. This is what this season is about. Cut all communication. He don't need to check on you. Don't worry about how I'm doing. And I won't worry about how you're doing. Don't call me. Don't text me. I don't want anything to do with you. This is if you can do that, because I do understand that some of us have children with people who are toxic. But even in that, I would say when having conversations with this person, make sure you keep it strictly business. And sometimes they're hard-headed. Sometimes they don't get it. Sometimes they still try to force and press their way into your lives. I know, because I went through it with my child's father. But you really have to be firm on your decision. You have to really make up your mind and decide, I'm not doing this. And close that door, because you deserve better. And if you have kids, they deserve better. They deserve to see their mother being loved properly. They deserve to see their mother being taken care of. They deserve that. So the first thing that I would do is I would cut off all communication, because what happens is whenever they text you, those old feelings start to wake back up again. Somehow, when we're away from them, we seem to forget every bad thing that they do. And when they text you, you get that feeling again of, oh my God, I missed them. Oh my God, maybe I'm tripping. Maybe it's not that serious, but it is that serious. You left for a reason. So now it's just about cutting that communication off. Block them on all social media platforms. Stop answering your phone to unknown numbers, because they're probably calling from a different number, or they're probably calling private. It's them. Don't answer. Don't answer. When you're tied up, when you're fed up, you're fed up. And you will know that because your actions will follow. So the first thing we'll do is cut contact, right? The second thing we do is we accept the fact that it's over. Now listen, because I've been through this, I know that just because you leave someone does not mean that the feelings go away immediately. It does not mean that you stop loving that person. But just because you care for them, just because you love them, does not mean you have to be with them. You can love them from a distance. Sometimes missing a person doesn't mean that you have to reconnect with them. Sometimes you have to miss them and allow that feeling to pass and go on about your business. It doesn't mean that you have to reconnect with them. So you have to understand when it's over. Just think about it. Whenever something's toxic, what it does most of the time is it gets your adrenaline going, because you're so used to the toxicness. It's like a drug, right? Once you get hooked onto something, you get used to it. So your body is just reacting to you not being with this person, and that person not triggering you all the time. They're not triggering you anymore. So you're going to have those moments where you feel lonely. You're going to have those moments where you feel bored. You're going to have those moments where you miss that person and you think about going back. But just remember why you left. You have to learn to accept the fact that it's over so that you can begin your healing journey. And when I say release them, I mean release them all the way, because sometimes we break up with people physically, but mentally they still got us. And if they got you mentally, you might as well be with them physically. So you have to learn how to release yourself from people mentally, emotionally, physically. You have to learn how to release your soul from people. Do you know what a soul tie is? A soul tie is when your mind, your will, and your emotions become tied or connected to another person, and it's hard to separate you from them, and everything about you craves them. And it's because you've created a soul tie with them. So your mind craves them, your emotions crave them, and your will crave them. This is why it's important that when you go through this season of healing, that you don't just hop into another relationship, because your soul needs time to detox. Your soul needs time to untie you from that person that you've been tied up with. And this takes time. You have to literally, sometimes you have to coach yourself through it, because sometimes you will have that wave of missing that person and still craving that person and wanting that person in certain ways. But you have to learn how to talk to you, and you have to learn how to let yourself know that, okay, this is just an emotion. This is a part of the process. I've spent so much time with this person. Of course I'm going to miss this person. Of course I'm going to still desire to be with this person, because my soul was intact with this person. And when we broke up, what we did was we ripped our souls apart from each other. So I'm hurting right now. I'm bleeding right now. And I can understand that. Right? So you have to understand that healing is a process, because you're not just breaking up with people physically. You have to break up with people mentally, emotionally, and especially spiritually. If you have ever laid down and slept with somebody else, you have joined your spirit to that person, and you and that person have become one. That strengthens soul ties. So for every woman out there who just thinks, oh, we not together, but we just still sleeping around with each other, what you don't understand is every time you sleep with him, you're strengthening that soul tie. You're making it harder and harder and harder for you to leave. If you could see what the soul would look like, it would look like chains and a lock. That's how people can move on physically and still be in love with their ex. It's been 10 years since they've been together, but the mind never healed. The emotions never healed. And we have too many people carrying people in their souls, and they don't even know it because they won't go through the process of detoxing themselves. You don't just get out of a relationship and get into another one. The worst thing you can do is get over one man by getting under another one, or get over one woman by getting under another one. That's the worst thing you can do. All you're doing is compounding soul ties, which means that when you do decide to go on your healing journey, it's going to be a little bit more harder for you because you have more stuff tying you down and weighing you down. You have to give yourself time to heal. So that way, when you completely heal, you don't go back. That's why you keep going back and forth, because you're not completely healed. You haven't completely gotten over him yet. And because we live in this physical realm where everything is about senses, you feel like, well, if I think about him and if I feel like I miss him, then surely that means we must have to be together. But no, sis, it's not so. When you break up with somebody, make sure you break up with them completely, not just physically. Take your mind back from that person. Take your spirit back from that person. How do you do that? You do that by praying. You do that by fasting. You do that by staying away from that person. You do that by collecting pieces of you. Because whenever you enter into a toxic relationship and you break up with that person, just know that he took pieces of you and you took pieces of him. So now that we're in the healing phase, we have to go and collect those pieces that was taken from us. Because to be honest, some people took your mind when they left. Some people took your peace when they left. Some people took your joy when they left. Some people took your money when they left. So now as a woman on this healing journey, you got to learn how to go back and collect your stuff. Come on, I'm about to start preaching and this ain't even what this about. You got to learn how to go back and collect your stuff. When you understand how valuable your mind is, which is my third point, is healing your heart. Your heart is your subconscious mind. It's not this thing that's beating in your chest. This is your physical heart. It pumps blood to your body. But your heart, the heart that we speak of, is your subconscious mind. That's the seat of everything. That's what controls everything. That's what controls your actions. That's what controls your moods. This is what controls your decisions, your heart. And if your heart not right, your life won't be right. So you have to learn how to go back and take your heart back. You have to take your heart back from people. You have to take your mind back from people. When you understand how valuable your mind is, when you understand that you can't just be giving pieces of yourself away because you need all of you to be whole, you need all of you to function, then you will start valuing and loving yourself more. Listen, I never understood how valuable my mind was when I couldn't get my mind off of a toxic man. It would be days I would lay in the bed and still be thinking about somebody who I broke up with months ago, and I was so stuck on them that I couldn't move on. My mind wouldn't move on. Even though I wanted to, even though I moved on physically, even though I tried to move on emotionally, my mind was tied to this person. And I never understood how valuable my heart was, my mind was, until I didn't have full control of it. Until somebody else did. You gotta learn how to get control of your heart back. This is what this is about. It's a fight. You gotta get your mind back. You gotta stop giving your mind to people so easily. Your mind is your heart. Let me tell you something. Somebody have access to your mind. They have access to everything. Because I told you, you live out your mind. The Bible says, guard your heart. Guard your mind. Because out of it flows the issues of life. Most of your problems comes from your thinking. And this is why it's important to guard your ear. This is why it's important to guard your eye gate. This is why it's important that you don't allow anybody just to come and talk to you. Because if people can talk to you, what you don't understand is words is spirit. Words bring either life or words bring death. So whoever has your ear has your life. And if you allow those words to get into your heart, to get into your mind, they take root. And that's what you begin to live out of. And that's what becomes your reality. So for some of you, you've given your heart to people who didn't deserve it. You've given your heart to people who should have never had your heart. And these people have come into your life and they've spilt words of death over you. They told you you was nothing. They told you nobody will ever love you. They told you nobody will ever want you. They told you you was good for nothing. They called you stupid. They called you fat. They called you ugly. And you're wondering why your life is going in the direction it's going in. And it's because you've given them your mind. Which means you've given them your life. I didn't even mean to go down this path. But we here now. What's up? You have to learn how to protect your heart, because you're valuable, you're worthy, and you deserve love. You do. You deserve everything that you desire in this lifetime, but you have to be a better steward over your heart. We have to stop just giving our heart to anybody. We have to start taking better care of our hearts. Stop giving your heart to people and say, don't break my heart. Don't hurt me. Don't hurt me. No. That's not their responsibility. That's your responsibility. The Bible says you guard your heart. You be a better steward over your heart. You see his characteristics. You know he a liar. You know he a cheater. You know he a woman beater. You know he an alcoholic. You know he gamble. You know he has bad characteristics. So why would you give him your heart? Come on, sis. This is the part about taking responsibility that as women, we don't like to do it. We don't, because we like to blame men for everything. It's their fault that we're the way we are. It's their fault, never ours. But we have to learn how to start taking responsibility, because we choose them. We choose them. We do. And when you're broken, you choose bad. You don't make the best decisions. You don't make the best decisions when you're broken. This is why it's important to heal, so you can choose from a healed place. We choose out of our desperation. We choose out of our loneliness. We choose out of our brokenness. But we don't choose from a place of wholeness. We don't choose from a place of knowing our worth. We don't choose from a place of knowing our value. And it's okay, because we all have to start somewhere. But sis, at some point, we got to start taking accountability for our lives and changing the direction that we're living and going in. We can't keep making these same mistakes, because at some point you get too old and your mistakes cost. When you're young, you can bounce back easy from these things, but the older you get, the more it costs. And I don't know about you, sis, but I'm in a phase of my life where I can't just give my peace to everybody. I can't give my time to everybody. I can't allow everybody to touch me. I can't allow everybody energy around me, because everybody not right. But when you heal, you become selective. When you heal, you become selective about who you date. When you're desperate, anybody qualifies. Anybody. So when you're on your healing journey, you want to make sure that you cut all contact. You want to make sure that you accept that it's over. You want to make sure that you are taking care of your mind, taking care of your heart. Make sure you're not just hopping in and out of relationships, because that's not healthy. That's not healthy to be hopping in and out of relationships, sis. It's not healthy. It's not good for you. Your healing journey is also important. It's also very important that you learn how to forgive. Forgiving doesn't mean that somebody gets to get away with what they did to you. Forgiving doesn't mean that that person's not going to be held accountable for their actions. Forgiving means I release people from the prison of my heart. Listen to me, sis. When you don't forgive, when you're angry, when you're bitter, because I've been there. I hated my ex-husband. I hated him. I wanted him dead at one point. I can say this because I had unforgiveness in my heart towards him. I was bitter. I was angry. I was mad. I know what it's like to hate somebody. I know what it's like to really be hurt and damaged from what a person has done to you. I've been there. I would literally lay in the bed and think about ways that my ex-husband could die. I was like, listen, if he could just get hit by a train. I mean, thank God for deliverance. Thank you, Jesus, because he had to come and free my mind. But when you operate in unforgiveness, you don't understand that you continue to carry that person with you. Remember, we just talked about releasing people, accepting that it's over. And a part of releasing them is forgiving them. Oh my God. It doesn't mean you have to go to them and say, you know what? I forgive you. I forgive you for everything. No. You ain't got to do that. You ain't got to do that. You could get a journal and you can write it down. You could go in your prayer closet and you could talk to God about it. Or you could look yourself in the mirror every single day when those emotions start to rise, when you want to be angry, when you want to be bitter, when you want to operate in unforgiveness. You have to remind yourself, I'm better than this. I'm bigger than this. I'm going to let this go. I refuse to allow this person to continue to take from me, even when they're not in my life. You won't take my mental energy. You won't take my emotions. You won't win this over me. You've already damaged me enough. And I'm not going to continue to give you the license of damaging me by me hating you. That's too much energy that's directed towards you. And you don't deserve that kind of energy from me no more. So I'd rather forgive you and let it go, not for the sake of you, but for the sake of me. Because I understand that as long as I hold you in the prison of my heart, I can never be the bigger person. I can never be better. I can never fully move on. I can never fully really accept what God has for me as long as I'm hating you. So I'm going to choose to forgive you, not for the sake of you, but for the sake of me. And at the end of the day, you got to learn how to let God deal with people. Because he's a better judge than you can ever be. He knows how to get people attention better than you ever could. So sometimes you got to learn how to wash your hands with people, forgive them, pray about it, pray for them. Yeah, that too. And leave it and let it go. And don't allow your emotions to trick you, because forgiveness is a process. You could feel good one day and you could wake up tomorrow still hating them. But you have to speak to yourself, and you have to let yourself know, you know what? We're not doing this today. I choose to forgive. Regardless of how I feel, I choose to forgive. Know that emotions are just that. They're emotions. They come and they go. But as long as you stay your ground, as long as you stand on what you know, then you'll be all right. But forgiveness is a part of the process. Yeah, it's hard. But you holding on to that unforgiveness is like you drinking the poison and waiting for them to die. It does nothing to them. They done moved on. They living their life. They probably in a new relationship. They laid up right now in the bed with somebody else who they gonna break. Right now, they laid up in the bed with somebody else. And she probably thinking she done found her treasure, her gold. He the one. And she don't even know. He's narcissistic. He's a monster. He's everything under the sun. But don't worry about them. Don't worry about how they live in their life. You worry about you. You get yourself together as a woman. You figure out, you know what? What was it about him that attracted me to him in the first place? What's in me that was attracted to him? Because sometimes we trauma bond with people. Sometimes people remind us of our pain. And that's why we say things like, oh my God, I just feel like I've known you all my life. What you're really saying is, wow, being around you feels really familiar. All the trauma that I have experienced in the past, you remind me of that. That's what you're really saying when you're not healed and you meet people. But we have to learn how to heal. We have to learn how to move on. And the last thing I want to say is self-care. Says take some time for you. Take some time to love on you. Take some time to get to know you better. Like I said, sometimes when we enter into toxic relationships and we break up, we lose parts of ourselves. We lose who we are. So you gotta go get your stuff back. You gotta go find your hobbies again. You gotta go find what makes you feel beautiful again. You gotta go find what you were created to do. I mean, get creative. Go figure out some different streams of income. Go figure out how you can make your life better. Take time to work on you. Take yourself out on dates. Do things that's gonna build yourself up as a woman. Don't be so quick to just hop in another relationship. I promise you. It's not the answer. It's not. You have voids that need to be filled in your life. And that's why you think it's easier to just get with somebody else. Because you're broken. So when you think it's easier to just use somebody else to get over the next person, that's not right. You're using people. But you got to take time. Trust yourself. You got this. You can do this. Take the time to heal. Get to know you. Explore yourself. Love yourself in ways you've never loved yourself before. Go to therapy. Start working out. Get some goals. Start becoming her. Start your journey to becoming her. All that means is the woman that you desire to be, start that process. I know it don't look pretty right now, but I promise if you start now, in 6 months, you're going to look up and you're going to be so glad that you did. You would never allow yourself to be in another toxic relationship like this. But you got to do the work. And you got what it takes. I believe in you. You could do it. You just got to trust in yourself. Trust your voice. Trust your intuition. Trust your instinct. God gave it to you for a reason, sis. You could do it. And I believe in you. And I'm rooting for you. Because I want to see you loved properly. All right? So, that is all I have for y'all today. If this video was helpful to you at all, do your girl a favor, like, share, comment, and subscribe. I would really appreciate it. And I will see you all in the next video.